Oké, beginnen? Ja. Okay, welcome at the Lockpick workshop. Sorry about the delay, but there's not much we could do about that. But we're here anyway, you're there, so let's get it started. When I start talking about lockpicking, I want to explain how it works, but also it's important that you understand that this is not a technique to break into houses. No, really, I mean, people always laugh when I tell this. I will give some examples on how to break into a house, because all the burglars know. And then you understand that lockpicking is more a sport than that it's useful of doing illegal stuff. My name is Barry, I'm the key, and this is Hans, Unicorn.
Right.
We're both from Holland, and we are members of the Dutch sport group NVHS, which is a funny name if you're Dutch, but you're not, so you don't understand. Okay, well, in Holland you have something called the NVSH, and that's the club that does the sexual revolution. So when you have the NVHS, people say, are you into the NVHS? But they think something else. Anyway, well, let's start, right?
Yeah, I think we should start. Like Barry already said, we are not criminals. We are only interested in solving puzzles. And basically a lock is just another kind of puzzle, right? If you are interested in solving puzzles, you can do it in two ways. You can do it all by yourself, which is quite lonely, or you can create a sporting group and do it together and learn from each other. And that's what we have done in the Netherlands. We basically copied some things from the Germans, who are actually doing it much longer already. And they even have championships in picking locks, in opening locks. Where to start from that is, if you want to pick a lock, if you want to solve that puzzle, you actually have to understand how a lock actually works, right? How many of you in this room know how a basic lock works?
Wow, that's quite amazing.
Quite amazing indeed. But still, for the other about 75%, we might go into detail just a little bit more. And to do that, we have, well, we can do it either by showing a lock or showing some pictures.
Okay. I think before we do that, we explain a little bit more about the breaking and entering part.
What we are not teaching.
We are not teaching.
Okay.
This is what they call a lock cylinder that's very popular in Europe, and therefore it's called the Euro cylinder. And it's being put in the door like this, and there's one screw, one big long screw holding it in the door. And the good thing about this is that when you buy a lock, you can easily replace it. You open your door, you remove the screw, put another lock in, put the screw back in, and you change the lock. And that's more easy than any other system there is. The bad part is that there's only a small piece of metal where the screw is in. And actually it's so thin that you can see the hole here, that the burglars found out that if you just drive a screw in here and you pull it, the lock will break. So this is an example of that. Just the lock is completely broken off, and there are special extraction tools, but also homemade tools. So anyone who's interested in burglary, just get a screw, drive it into the lock, and you can just pull it out. Also, if the lock sticks out a little bit, you can just grab it with some heavy pliers, put some force on it, and the lock, it's really a tiny piece of metal that's actually holding it. So that's how people break into houses without making noise within 5 minutes. So lockpicking will take you, if you're interested, it will take you a lot of time before you actually are at the level that you can open almost any lock. if you ever get to that level. And even if you're real good, it will still take you at least 4, 5, 6 months of daily spending 2, 3 hours to open 50% of the locks within 15 minutes. So it's not a good thing for burglars. So that's always what I explain first, to show that the technique is not useful for burglary, because there's other things for that.
Another technique used by burglars is, of course, drilling a hole into the lock, eliminating the pressure on the pins inside, and then you can turn the cylinder and open the door as well. And that's, again, much easier to do than actually picking a lock.
But we are not giving a burglary school, so no. Let's go to the sport.
Right.
No, but seriously, I mean, people think that everything is quite secure, but it's not. It's so easy to get into a house that there are, of course, locks available on the European market that have a protection against that. But I will show that later on when I come to the special high security locks.
Okay. Start with the lock.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we have enough focus to actually show you the pins. This is about as good as it can get. And it's really a shame because this model is completely open. So if you would have been close up, you could actually see all the pins and what it does. So I have to try something else. That also doesn't work. And then I have the MIT lockpicking guide as a backup, so I'll have to pick that then.
By the way, the MIT guide to lockpicking is available on the internet at several URLs. So if you just go to your favorite search engine, type in MIT guide to the lockpicking, and you will find it. No doubt about it. Can everybody see this? No.
Okay. Okay, I'll go into text mode then. When you have a lock, it's actually a cylinder that moves into, let's see, where is it? There you go. It's actually a cylinder that, if the key is right, it can rotate in the core, the base of the lock. And this is what we want to achieve. We want to achieve that we can rotate the inner cylinder. The inner cylinder has 5 holes drilled in them. And in these 5 holes are pins. And they're just tiny little pins. And when a key is inserted to that lock, the pin will be moved up. Oh, out. Moved up. And if the pin is at the level where the core of the lock is, then it can turn. If it is too high, it will stick out, and inside here is a little hole as well. And if it is too high, it will jam, and that's the basic idea. That all the 5 pins have to be aligned at the same height, where the two, what they call the shear line. And when you achieve that, the lock will open. If one of them is too high or too low, the pin will just jam, be in the way, and it cannot work. I hope this is sufficient information. If it's not...
How does it jam if it's too low?
Okay, you're right, that's a good question. In here are also 5 pins, so actually every hole is covered by 2 pins, and that's good. And a spring on top of that to keep it under pressure. And when the pin is too low, the higher pin will fall into the inner cylinder and jam it like that. That's a very good question. Thanks. Now, lockpicking, how does it work?
Well, first of all, you have to have some tools, most likely, to be able to pick a lock. And one of the tools available is, of course, the key. But if you don't have the key, you have to either make or buy or get somewhere else tools like these. Where is it? There it is. What I'm showing right now is what is called a lady set, or
Shall I go first out?
yeah.
Okay, I'll hold it for you.
What's the other tool? A jackknife set, and basically it holds 4 tools together. First of all, there are 2 snakes inside. Perhaps you can point them out.
This is a snake.
That's a snake. There is a half diamond, and there is a finger. But to be able to pick a lock, you actually need another tool that comes with it. And it's called a tension wrench. Because what we actually want to achieve is turn the cylinder inside the lock. And with the tools, you can manipulate the pins inside, but you have to have some other tool to be able to put some pressure on it. And that's the tension wrench.
And the funny thing is that when you are in a movie with some people that are lock enthusiasts, and James Bond is picking out only one tool and putting it in the lock and turning it, well,
you know for
the
sure that
reaction.
he has a key.
So you need a tensioner, and actually the tension wrench is a really important tool. People underestimate it, but it's actually the putting the right amount of tension on the lock that opens it. If you put too much, you will force the pins and they cannot move. But a question been asked to me many times already, because we had a few workshops in the other room just for the people. They can play already a little bit with the locks. Is how expensive is my first set going to be? Shall I buy immediately a master set, or shall I begin cheap? The answer to that is begin cheap. At the beginning you will...
Very cheap.
Very cheap, okay. At the beginning you will bend your tools, because you don't know how much pressure you can use on your tools, and you will definitely harm them. So begin as cheap as possible, and this is as cheap as possible. These are just metal plates which have the shape of the picks, and actually they are picks, of course. But they don't have a handle, they don't have anything, they're just straight pieces of metal. These things you can buy on the internet for about $2, $3 per item. And if you ever go to Germany, December is a good day to do that, because then there is the championships, but I will come back to that. And they sell the sets there for very little money, so that might be a reason to come. So begin cheap. This is the cheapest solution you can get. It's just the basic tools. Then the jackknife or the lady set is also a very cheap and handy thing. You can carry it with you at all times if you dare to do that in the United States. In Europe that's not a real problem, and I hope that after this workshop it won't be in the United States, because we hope to get people motivated to start sport groups, but as I said, we will go back into that. I just brought a few pick sets, so I just want to show them. This is what is being called the Kgb Pick Set. It's a set you can carry on your buckle or on your belt. And it has very nice tools with nice handles that are made of fine rubber. I put some extra tools in there as well, so I didn't buy this set as it is now, this type of tools, but they are for the special high security locks, but I will show you later. Then the most common set under beginners is this one. It just contains up to 12 picks. It even has a tool. That's this. What?
The extractor.
Yeah. It even has a tool that can extract broken keys from a lock. So if your key ever breaks into your lock, you can just use this type of fish hook thing and try to get behind the broken part of the key and pull it back. Very thin saws also work excellent for that. I don't know what the word for that is. Figuurzaag? Figure drawing saw? No. It's a very thin saw. Coping saw? Oh, okay. Well, that will work as well. You can just try to get it behind the key and you can pull it out. A lot of people had great use in that because if you call a locksmith and say, well, my key is broken, then they will rip out your entire door and make a bloody mess and sell you a whole new door and locks. And before you know it, you spend like $300. Well, the only thing you need is just a little saw. You push it in and then get it back. And don't call locksmiths when you have problems with opening your door because they will make a mess. I mean, first try to be clever yourself. And anyway, this is the beginner set, and it costs about $35. You can get it, and you can have a great deal of fun with this set. Then the more expensive set has just more tools of everything. This one is also not complete. It used to have a whole set. It used to have like 50 or 60 of the same identical picks, so it doesn't make a difference. But it's more cheap to buy it than to buy 3 or 4 of these sets. And if you think that you're getting somewhere, it might be useful to buy that. A really good set to buy is what is being called the dental pick set, and that's this. And I really thought I was going to get in trouble with customs when bringing this in, because it really is a stainless steel sharp dart that is devious. I mean, look at, no, it's the snake, but look at this one. I mean, it's really, really nasty and sharp. But these tools are really the best because they have an excellent feel, an excellent grip. And if you are an experienced lockpicker, you will find these very, very nice. And I have a great deal of fun with them. Although I always use my small Kgb set because I always have that on me. So this is more for the championship.
You're going to join them this time.
And then you have the real expert set. That is mostly in use by the intelligence community. Oh, really? It's made by someone called Fala, and his company is also called Fala. It's the Fala Pig Set. And actually, they look quite cheap. And I think even to make them, they are. But they have an excellent grip and an excellent design. One side of the pick is very thin, and the other side you have a little bit more grip. But what's very nice about this is the way that you can use them. You can use it like a pen. It really has a nice grip. Let's see. I only use 1 or 2 of these picks, the normal finger-shaped pick, because all the rest is only for real special locks. But it's a nice feel and it's a really nice lock. And also the tension wrenches are really special, and I don't know if I can show it to you with the camera because. But this one actually can move. You can change the size of the tensioner, and you can make it fit in a lock perfectly by 2 sides, so having more grip on the lock, and it fits in almost any lock. And they have like 5 different types, so they have for every lock they have something, and it really gives a nice tension feel, and it's really special. This is the most expensive set I have. It's costing about $350. So. There they are. I knew it. So that's the tools. But when you're starting, just buy the simple pick set for $35, or even buy a few extra of these cheap $2 one blade picks, because that's all you're going to use at the beginning.
Okay, let's show them how it works.
Okay, show them how it works. At the sport group we have one famous lock, and the brand name is 909, and I don't think I can show it to you, but actually it says here 909. The lock is very famous in the sport groups in Germany and Holland, and why? Because it's very easy to pick. You just put anything in there, move it a little bit, and it will open. So I bet you that now under pressure I can't open it, but seriously. This lock is... No, thanks. This lock is used as a motivation to show people that you can open a lock and to show them how it's done and to get you, to give you the feeling of what you are doing. And so what I'll try to do is I'll put a tensioner in the lock and I now put tension on it and it won't open because the pins are in the way, as I said. My Kgb Pick Set. By the way, the tool I use most is just a broken off $2 pick, which I grind down just a little bit so to make it a little more thin, polish it a little bit because when it's smooth it gives a better action. That's also one of the first things we teach people at the club is to take very thin sandpaper and brush off the edges of the pick set, and it will really improve the way. Okay, now this is the finger, so I'm going to lift the pins up. I try to. Open! Okay, but I can promise you, anyone in this audience can do this lock in under 3 minutes if they don't put extremely tension on it, because if you really push it, then you cannot push the pins up because you're jamming yourself. And that's what this lock is all about. It's to teach you not to use too much force, which is the beginner error. Also, when lifting the pins, sometimes people break the tools by putting too much pressure because they're pushing too hard on the tensioner. Begin soft. Let's see. Yeah, there's 2 different techniques to pick a lock, and the basic technique we teach people at the club is the raking technique. You have got this tool for that, and you see that it's not straight. It has a sort of the shape of maybe you could see a snake, or and what you do is you go over the pins with it, and you just hit them, and then the lock will open. This works with a great deal of locks, but only when the pins in the lock are about the same height. When there is a big difference in height, when the first pin is this large and the second pin is very small, this is not such a good technique to do that. Then you really need one of these so-called lifters or fingers to go into the lock and push the pins one by one, setting them. And
well, it's still a nice technique to start with a lock, because using raking, you can actually make the cylinder turn just a little bit, so that it will not jam on all pins, but only on a few pins. And once you have the cylinder turn just a little bit, you can focus on those pins that are actually blocking the cylinder at that time. So it's a valid technique to start with. Yeah. And then finish it off with actually picking a lock.
Well, the other technique I displayed the first time is lifting them, and that's just going into the lock, finding the pin that is jamming the most, because there's 5 pins in there, but one is always a little bit thicker than the other one. So if you put pressure on the lock, it won't jam on all 5 pins, it will jam on 1 or 2 pins. And the trick with lifting is finding that pin. And if you move up and you don't feel any pressure, then the pin is completely loose and you don't have any, then you don't have any problem. Oh, okay, I did it again. But this isn't a very easy lock. This also is a very easy lock, I hope. And but these are the 2 basic techniques that you can use to open a lock with lockpicking. Let's see what's next. There is, of course, more than just this type of lock. There are many, many, many locks. And the thing is that almost every lock has its tool. This is a tool that can be used on, I don't know, 75% on all the locks. But of course there is also special locks and special tools like the tubular, you have cross locks, you have many, many, many. But every lock has its tool, and when you look on the internet you can find a lot of tools for a lot of locks. But this is the most common thing. And the lifting is really solving the puzzle. Raking is just trying your luck, and it's not really solving a puzzle. I guess it's not such an easy lock after all. But this is really solving the puzzle, going one by one, feeling the pins, and also when you hit the pin, the tensioner sometimes comes back to you, saying that, okay, this is the one that is where the force is on.
And as you can see, you can actually do this sport while talking to an audience or talking to other people in the room. So it's a social event. Really it is. We want to make it as social as possible. So yeah, you can have a beer. Yeah, if you do smoke, you can have a cigarette if you really need to. And in the meantime, solve a puzzle and talk with the guys and girls over on the table and exchange information on different kinds of locks. For instance, once you pick the lock and you really know how the lock works, you can exchange that information with some other guy who has extreme difficulties in picking that lock.
Like me.
Right now.
Okay. But you get the idea, I hope. Also, when placing the tensioner, that's also important. When I assume that the pins are here, they're on the high part of the lock, some people prefer to put the tensioner on the low side of the lock, and then you pick it. I prefer to put it on the high side, because when you put it on the high side of the lock, you have extra space to move your tool. So that's what I prefer.
Yeah, with some locks you have to put the tensioner in the middle or on the high side of the lock, because the space where the key normally fits in is so small that if you do it any other way, you can't insert your tools into the lock. So
I got it.
Ah, cool.
Now, of course, the lock industry is not crazy as well. So they think of all these things all the time to make life for the lock pickers a little bit difficult. Well, it's really too bad that you can't focus on this lock, because...
Put it up a bit. No.
Looks like it's a big hole on the top.
Actually, what they do is they design locks that have a very, very, very narrow entrance of the key. And the key also has a lot of side cuts, as you can see here. So what you get is some sort of zigzag look, profile on the lock. And with this lock, it's almost impossible to get your tool in, because it's completely zigzagged.
Try this. A bit smaller, but...
Yeah. No, but I mean, it is possible, but it's really annoying. So, not every lock is that easy, and if you spend a little bit more than normal on locks, you can get something good. Well, then I can go to why we made a sport group, because that's an interesting question. When I started lockpicking 12 years ago, I was the only one in my group, or the only one in my group, that's not right, of course. I was the only one in my group of friends that was interested in lockpicking. The rest was doing computers and founded Access for All and other internet providers. But I was more into lockpicking. And I was sort of a loner in that area, and I had to teach myself everything. I ordered the pick set and had no clue on how it worked. And my English was not so good. So I was translating the books and not getting it, and finally getting somewhere. But it never was a social event for me. It was just a struggle to learn myself. But I finally got somewhere. And I did a workshop on hip. No, on H2K, that is, H2K, in 1993. And I think some German guys saw that and became very enthusiastic and thought, well, this is fun, we want to do this as well. But in Germany, the police is strict, and I mean they are very strict. Maybe even more strict than here, although in some cases that's maybe not possible. But no, but I mean they are. And one of the things that one of the weapons of the police is the organized crime laws. So if I teach you how to open a lock and you break into a house, I taught you that, so I'm part of your organized crime ring. And that really is a big problem. So they thought of something funny. They said, well, you know what? Let's make a sport group. That was the basic idea, I guess, to start that. And that it turned out to have 500 members and championships and everything. That's really nice. It really went on a good level. And they inspired a guy in Holland, Tim Matthews, who's the founder of the Dutch sport group, to start a Dutch sport group as well. And that's really good. But so at first they started with the sport group for legal problems. When you enter the sport group in Germany, also in Holland now, you get a very nice identity card saying this person is part of a sport group and is allowed to carry his sport gear with him at all times. And he signed a contract not to use the information for criminal activities. And if he does, please tell us and we will kick him out of our group, because that's not the meaning of the group. So starting a lockpick group is protecting yourself from trouble. Because if you are with 5 people and one of the 5 people is teaching someone else who's stealing a bike, you are still in trouble. So it is a way to protect yourself. And also, if you make the identity card a little bit official, put a stamp on it and some other things like a number and well, you know, cops love it. I mean, you just... Also, we put in 3 languages, this person, blah, blah, blah. So even if they can see it in their own language, it's like, wow, they really thought about us. And so
we still have to cover German, though. But
no. But that's the way they did it in Germany, and it really worked out well. And before they knew it, they had 500 enthusiastic members. And also one of the weapons of the sport group in Germany was humor. They have a lot of humor in Germany, although you normally wouldn't say that. But the people I know do, and really they're really good people. For instance, they have several lockpick classes, and one of them is lockpicking in the nude. So they go outside, take off all their clothes, and sit on a table and pick locks. And I mean, I kid you not, this is really happening. There are definitely women at that meeting, yes. Even some Dutch. They also have,
most likely.
They also have they have pictures on their website of lockpicking underwater. A few of these people are diving enthusiasts. So they just made a few pictures with people in gear wearing the oxygen masks and picking locks at the Caribbean at 15 meters of depth. But I mean, when you're a cop and you try to arrest these people that are really annoying for them because they reveal secrets, we're also some sort of low-technic hackers. We are, because many people believe that locks are secure. And then you come to the club and you see people, 15-year-olds, tuck tuck open. And that's they don't like it, but there's so much humor in that you know, imagine yourself going to court and they have a copy of the website and they say, well, this is a criminal organization, and then you see pictures of nude people picking locks and lockpicking underwater. I mean, it's just okay. That's thought about really well, and I really must tell that I like what they do, and they did a great job. And it got me interested in lockpicking again, because, as I said, I started a long while ago, and at one moment it was just satisfied, like, okay, I know what I have to know, and there's no motivation in it. And then I came to the first sport group of the first evening of the sport group, because I know Tim Matthews personally. And he said, well, this lock, you know, I never was able to open it. Like, really? And then I start trying and trying and trying, and 15 minutes later the lock was open. And I was like, okay, I can still do this. And got motivated again, bought some more tools, and now I'm actually more lockpicking than I was before, because I was doing other stuff as well. But it's nice, and also it keeps your minds off things. You can just sit there with the lock and forget everything around you and just do it, like sitting in an airplane. No, really, I mean...
There are even people who have a lock all the time with him. For instance, in a car, and if the light is turned red, they just pick their lock up, pick their tools, and try to pick it before the light goes green, or the one behind them goes pressing their horn. And if he succeeds, he wins the game. If he doesn't, he loses it. It's a way of life for him. So yeah.
But I mean, this is actually examples of real people that are really eager to become Deutsche Meister, champion of Germany, which is in December every year.
Well, Deutsche Meister, right now, since the Germans are the only ones who actually have a competition, it's World Master. So if you want to catch up, you have to start your own organizations over here in the United States as well. And then we can actually compete against each other on a world level. Let's see, what else?
Well, I think, oh, okay, you have a question?
What about combination locks?
Well, that's different. The sport group focuses on pin tumblers and funny locks. Of course, also combination locks, but there is so many different types of combination locks, and some work, you just put a little tension on the lock, you pull it, and then you try the dial, and when the discs, there are normally discs in there, when the discs fall in place, you will feel a little tick. That's one of the techniques to open the lock, but of course some of them are protected against that. But that's a whole different game. The sport groups normally focus on just normal locks that you will find almost everywhere.
In competition, do you know the lock you're going to pick, or you have to figure this out on the fly?
Okay, I have not entered a competition, but what I know of it is that when you want to enter the competition, you bring one lock yourself. So you are at a table with, say, 15 people, and the clock starts, and you have to pick your lock within 5 minutes yourself. If you cannot pick your lock in 5 minutes yourself, well, you lose. Then when you do that, you shift the lock to your neighbor and you get another lock, and you get maximum 15 minutes for that lock. And as I understand, it works by the way of elimination, so there's one winner. Also, I think it's something with time and points, and they write down how fast you do it. And
often.
Okay, there you go. You opened it. Applaus, no? The most difficult lock to open?
Yeah, most difficult lock to open?
Well, the most difficult lock to open, then you assume that you can open it in the first place, okay?
Right.
Well, the most difficult locks, I will go into that later, but they look a little bit like, the key looks a little bit like this. I don't know if you can see that. It has all these holes, and they used to call them computer keys. I don't know why, it's just a sales argument probably, but and they look really nice and interesting. many holes in the key instead of the plain cuts.
And not only holes on the side, but also, yeah,
It's
right on top.
Cut them on all
and
the
bottom.
sides. And
What about handcuffs?
They're easy.
kinky types, huh? Well, there's nothing wrong with that. For handcuffs, I would say go to your local S&M shop, and I'm serious. They sell you a key there for $1.99 that will open all the normal handcuffs around. And I'm serious. And I know people that bought a bunch of those and sewed them in their clothes. So they have one in the neck and one in the back of their pants. And I'm not kidding. I mean, this is for real. Okay, it's nice. Okay, shall we do questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Draw a parallel to computer hacking, where a lot of computer hackers will hack as a way of demonstrating to companies the flaws in their security. What suggestions would you have to lock makers to make their locks more secure?
Okay, did anyone hear that question? Because I understand that... Yeah? Okay. I think that the manufacturers of the lock know how to make a safe lock. The problem is that if they go by the rules and really make it safe, their lock is going to be $5 more expensive than the competition. And the person buying the lock cannot see the difference between a $10, a $15, a $20 or the $35 lock. Because sometimes even the $10 lock is better than the 35. So, but it's difficult. There are some rules like closing the gap where you can put in your tools by putting a zigzag motif. That's a very effective way of preventing from lockpicking. There's also other ways like putting magnets in your lock. I have a whole bunch of magnet keys with me, and I don't know if we get to the point that I can actually show some of the mag locks. But I cannot open those magnetic locks. It would require special tools, and I have an idea on how to open them, and it's also, I think it has been done before.
So do you think if lockpicking became a more popular sport, that people would begin to realize that locks are not as secure as they think they are, and that then would apply pressure to the companies to make more secure locks?
Sure. In Holland and Germany, you see more often articles in newspapers on this crazy sport group. And I think even in Germany, some of the television even got hyped on television, on popular shows. So many people see what's going on, and 15-year-olds doing tik-tik and opening locks that they have on their own door. So yeah, it's working, and maybe it's a big boost for the lock industry to make locks. And also, I think that in Germany, but I'm not sure. The guys from the sport group are talking with manufacturers of locks, and even trying to open locks that they're gonna bring out and everything. But I'm not 100% sure on exactly the details. But there is some people actually from Germany here that might know the answer to that. But in Holland, we're not at that point yet. Yeah, next.
Correct.
Yeah, the average burglar will kick your door down, and
But
a
then again-
crowbar and a screwdriver.
Then again, computer hacking is not about breaking and entering a website, is it? That's cracking.
Okay, anyway.
More questions?
I noticed that you were holding the lock with your right hand and the tool with your left hand.
Close observation.
Wouldn't this be awkward for a right-handed person? Can you reverse the way you were showing it?
Yes.
I guess so, but yeah. But the thing is, I'm left-handed, so
I'm
that's
right-handed,
yeah.
So yeah, you can.
And the other thing is, because I trained myself in lockpicking and I had no one to show me, I have a wrong technique. No, really. I mean, if you really want to lockpick, you've got to do it like this. This is the right way to do it. Holding the pick like a pen and making this motion. But I trained myself in doing this, and it also works. But if you really want to become an expert lockpicker, learn this grip, because this is really the way to do it. And all the people that win the championship, I see them picking like this, because that's the best way to do it, like writing and holding a pen.
Is the tension bar, the way you're pressing it, it would have to be in the other direction, the opposite direction?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Well, I can show you a little tool, because sometimes the curve of or the shape of the shape of the key will prevent you from picking it to the left or to the right, because it just won't fit or it just doesn't work. And you can be with some difficult key types, you can be lucky to pick the lock on the left, but you need it to go to the right, so that's a problem. Fortunately, lockpick companies designed something for that, and that's this little device, and it's called the Flip It. What you do is you bring it under pressure, you put it in a lock. I don't know if you saw that I turned it and then pushed it in. You turn it in the lock and you push it, and it really fast with a spring turns the lock. Now when I started lockpicking, I of course thought of, wow, a device like that would be nice, but I didn't thought it would exist because it would turn too slow. But in fact it doesn't, it really works, and it's a little bit difficult. Normally I have something to hold the lock and then I can demonstrate it. As you can see, the lock is now, okay, somebody is willing.
Will that destroy the lock?
No, it will just only rotate the lock a little bit. Rob, kun jij hem even vasthouden? Can you hold it? Okay, oh, wait. Okay. Okay, I hope you can see that the lock is now turned like that. I want to turn the lock that way, so that means that... Okay. There you go. It rotated the lock very fast, and yeah, that's about it. And it's just a $40 tool, but if you, yeah, it really is worth the money if you are.
How many locks is going to work on anyway?
What's the question?
That tool, how many locks is it likely to work on? 60% of the locks?
I didn't find any lock, not even the high security 15-pin locks, that it doesn't work. It really rotates the lock fast, and it's really good.
Why does that open it?
No, it doesn't open.
It doesn't open it.
It just
This,
rotates it so fast that if you picked it the wrong way, or if you have to turn it twice, you don't have to pick it again. It just rotates it so fast that a picked lock doesn't reset.
right. Thanks, Rob. Okay. Also, somebody was talking about, can the lockpick industry design a safe lock? Of course, they try sometimes, and they come out with things that people, when they see it, they think, wow, that is a cool lock, I'm going to put that in my door. And they design something to prevent people just kicking in their door or prying out the lock, because, you know, as I told you, with the screw in and you can just rip the lock out, it's an easy thing. They designed a lock that completely moves into your door, so you don't see any of this on the outside. You just see a small hole in your door, and this long key with 3 sides or 4 sides will fit in and turn the lock. Well, unfortunately, this is not the right key for the lock. It's just another key for this type of lock. But I have a tool to open it, so if you want, I can demonstrate it to you. Okay. This tool is a hollow pipe. Let's see. Anyway, this pipe is hollow, and it has 4 little notches on it that work. What I have in my hand here is the tensioner. I put the tensioner on the lock, so normally there would be a hole in the door, and this would be all the way in the door, and this is where the key normally enters. So I put the device in and put tension on the lock. Now there's another device with 4 little raking tools don't know if you can see that. It looks scary. Well, just the banging on the table. Well, there we go. I never said it was easy.
Yeah. As you can see, it's a pretty good lock.
It's not. Okay, maybe I need to adjust the set a little bit. Anyway, this is a handmade pick set, and there also is an official version that you can buy from HPC that does a little better job. But it's very expensive. It's like $250. On the other hand, this lock has been used in Holland on almost every door as an extra lock. So you have one normal Euro cylinder lock, and many people use this as their extra lock because it's completely in the door. And for a junkie with a crowbar, it's very easy to get to it.
That burglary's going down because of this, by the way?
No, they take the back door.
That sounds good.
Yeah, well, demonstration effect. It doesn't work, but maybe Hans can talk to you and I can keep trying.
I can talk to them. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have?
Can I ask you a question?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, so it is possible to take mag locks. Question one. Question two. What about the little locks that they have on casino machines? You know the ones where it's circular and not criminal activities.
Sorry.
The ones that are circular and the pins stick in. You stick it in. The pins pick the right pins to twist it.
Oh, a tubular.
And also, what about the cars?
A tubular.
Because it seems to
Well,
pretty
Those
different than the
cars
other
that have that one little piece of metal that covers up the hole, so it makes it very hard for you to use some tools to get in. And I don't want to steal any cars, but I'm saying, do they have things for that too, to hold that metal piece aside so you can actually use the...
Well, most of the time you can hold the metal piece aside by just using your tension wrench.
But I've used that too, because I know how to pick some locks, so probably not as good as you, but those things bend real quickly for that, because unless you get a...
Do they?
Well, the least that I have...
You apply too much pressure, most likely.
Okay.
These kind of locks, they are called tubular, and yeah, you can pick them. Sorry, in front of the camera. Where am I? These type, right? Yeah, you can pick them, and there are even special sets available to make life even easier. They're not too hard.
Is there a fundamental difference between how you go about it? Because, I mean, do you hold the thing aside? I guess?
No, there's no fundamental difference. No. Yeah, absolutely.
What about the magnetic locks?
I don't have any experience with magnetic locks.
Do you know if it is possible though, or is it something that's been stumped for locking procedures, or is it something that hasn't been stumped, something that's figured out that you kind of have to sort of technique?
We're just looking into that one. You need special tools, at least special tools, to be able to pick a lock like that. And there are some very ingenious locks available using magnets. And I guess we brought some of them over.
Do you guys
So-
consider magnetic strips like the ones used for the hotel rooms? Would that be part of lockpicking, or would that be just taking a reader, printing it out?
That wouldn't be part of lockpicking, no.
Oh, I got it. I got it.
Yeah?
Does the website have links to the German championship?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
You have, if you want to write down, there's two links you must visit. Then there's lockpicking.nl and lockpicking.org. And org is the Germans because they were there first.
Yeah?
A question, in the 909s, do they use more than 2 pins per cylinder, or is it just 2?
No, it's 10. It's 5 on the bottom, 5 on the top.
No,
So
per cylinder, per vertical shaft. Chamber.
Per chamber?
per chamber, yes.
Only-
It's only 2.
It's only 2.
Yeah.
Americans have more than 2.
Well, you can have more than 2, but the only...
Different keys that'll fit the same lock.
Indeed, yeah, you can have a master key at that time.
Right. But those don't have that.
No, not these. You could make one yourself if you want to, but... Yes?
Could you show us how to pick a particular lock? I have one that's a Smart Jet with T1.
We haven't got the tools. Do we have a tool? No.
No, I didn't bring the tubular pick with me. I brought so many stuff that...
And we had to come through customs, so...
An interesting thing to say about the tubular pick is that you can copy it from the thing.
Now, the pick you have for the tubular is a self-setting tool, and it's a really smart design. What you do, because you can see all the pins on a tubular lock, and what the tool is nothing more than a blank key with 5 or 7 pins that are exactly aligned on the pins of the lock. And it has a rubber band which will prevent the 5 pins from sliding back. But if you put enough pressure on it, they will, the pins of the lock will slide the pins on your pick back until the point where there actually is the shear line. So what you do is you take the pick set, you align it to 0, so you push all the pins down on the set, you put it on the lock, and then you wiggle. And while wiggling, the pins on the lock will push the tool into the right position, and it will open. And when it's open, you even have a key to that lock. And it's really one of the smartest pick tools ever invented. And it's a pity I didn't bring it, because it also is a nice demonstration. But there's so much more stuff that that's more popular now.
What do they cost?
Expensive, like $250, $300.
Per key?
No. It's only a tool, so you can use it multiple times.
The thing with that is, though, that you can teach a monkey how to operate it, because you only have to put it on the lock, wiggle it, and then the lock will open. It's really, really simple. There's a technique called impressioning, and I'm not really going into that today. We could do that some other time. But it's a really a fun technique where you take a blank. I don't know if you know what a blank is, but a blank is a key with no cuts in it yet, the way that you have it in the key store. And what you do is, with a file, you find it extremely thin, especially the top. You make it very thin, like a razor. And you put it in the lock with a special grip, so you can put tension on it. You push it in the lock, and then you start making pressure on it and moving it up and down. Now what will happen is that the pin that's jamming the most will make an impression in that very thin piece of metal of the blank key. So you take a file and you take a little bit off, and you go back in again and do it again, and then you get another mark, and you take a little bit off there, and there you go again. It's a very time-consuming thing, but it's really a nice method of making a key to a lock that even you may not have ever seen that key, but you can still create
Just
a key for
making a
that lock.
backup key. Yeah.
And it's really a nice technique.
Yeah.
What does a master key work? Has to be
Um,
the right combination.
A master key, if you can open a lock with a master key, there are more than 2 pins in each hole. So it's not the key itself, it's more the locks are modified in such a way that the master key can open all the locks, and they have a special key for each lock as well.
There's more than one position in the shaft.
That will open the lock, or that will allow you to rotate the cylinder. Yes.
So it's like the lower pin would be split, like you cut it all.
Hey, I got
Yeah.
it.
Pieces.
Yeah.
With this lock, you have to pick the lock twice because it goes in 2 steps. That's also with lockpicking. If it doesn't work, just take your time, take a little break, forget about it. You can be frantic and go on forever, but then you will never gonna get the lock open. Just take a little break and zen. Even what we do in the shop is you just get a motivation lock, like the 909, open that 3 times and say, I know I can do it, and then. Okay, that's her there.
I've got a question. For some locks, it's difficult to tell which way to turn it to open the lock itself. Can you determine that by looking at the front of the lock, which way it turns?
No, but normally with some common sense, you think if I have a key, then I would probably do this. Then that most of the time is the, yeah. And otherwise, buy a flip it.
It's twice as long. You have to do it one way until it doesn't work. I'm talking about when you're picking it.
No, but I mean, when you're picking the lock and you picked it in the wrong way, that's okay because you still have the lock picked. So then you use the flip it,
Just flip it over.
and you just put in the flip it, and then the flip it will turn it for you. So if you picked it to the right, you insert the flip it, and the flip it will flip it to the left. That's this. That's what I
That's
just
the
showed.
tool. In the back?
Sure. Yes. Okay. Not really. No. If you have some.
If you wanted to start a lockpick club in your own town or country, how would you go about it?
Well, you could contact the Dutch or the German group if you want to start a sport group for yourself. And maybe even arrange that you can buy the tools there, or they can get you started on tools, or maybe on the identity card, or whatever. But the people that are in these groups are friendly people that are willing to help, and they would find it a thrill if sport groups would come out in the States, and that we can have the real championship games, and not just the German championship, but the world games. And maybe some Asian groups as well. I see some Asian people in the room, and make it global. It would be fun.
In Finland, all the locks are like half a cylinder with a moon-shaped hole. Is that easier or harder, or why?
That's a complete different lock. It's called Abloy, and there is pick sets for that, but that's not something I'm going to discuss now. But they also use them here on vending machines and payphones. I've seen Abloys around here a little bit. It's just it has an half open shape, like a half a moon or something, as the key. Yeah.
What about key locks with back combination locks? Is that just the same idea?
What's that?
Key locks with back combination.
I don't know that.
It's just it's a normal combination lock, but you can also open it with a key.
Ah, okay. Well, then you must open it with a key, right? Yeah. Okay. I think I will demonstrate a few more difficult to pick locks, or at least what's claimed to be difficult or strange. I will show you something. Flip it. Okay, so we learned that the normal locks have normally 5 pins, or at least 5 sets of 2 pins. But we just call that a 5-pin lock because the pins that you can touch are 5 pins, and that's the 5 pins that you're going to set. In Europe, they started a long time ago with these so-called computer keys, or keys that have many, many holes in crazy positions, like these. as I just showed you. And when you take a lock like that apart, it looks a little bit like this. You see 5 holes, 5 holes, 5 holes. It has pins everywhere. Now there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is that there's 15 pins. The good news is that the key is small, it's thin. And because there are holes on all the sides of the key cuts can never be deep. Because sometimes with a normal lock, like this, with a normal key, you see that you have a very deep cut and you have a high cut. And the difference between the highest cut possible and the lowest cut possible is the number of combinations possible. And with this, you can only make a very thin hole. So if you put tension on the lock and you go in with the appropriate pick set for this, just touching the pin might set it. Just because there's only a little bit of power needed to get it to the right position. Sometimes you over push it, but at the beginning when I saw these type of locks, I thought it was not possible to pick them because it's just 15 pins. That's really a lot of pins. But I found that it was possible. Now, this is a Lips Octro. It's one of the popular security locks in Europe because it has 15 pins in them. I just showed you. Do you have your multiplier with you? The ding, the trek, the tang?
Tang, yeah, sure.
This is quite a modern lock because it is protected against pulling out of the door with the screw. And I can show you that. They made an extra hardened stainless steel mechanism that you cannot pull this lock out of a door. And it's supposed to be really secure, and you're not allowed to copy the keys of it. And it's one of the higher security locks. Now, what I use to open it is nothing more than a tensioner and this. Let's see. It's just a little L-shaped tool, and I use it to hit the pins, just moving left and right and up, because that's where the pins are. They're here, here, and here. And what I do is I will just put tension on the lock and then try to set all 15 pins one at a time, find the pins that are going smoothly, and let's see how far I can get. This might take some time, so maybe Hans can entertain you with a funny story about mother-in-law.
I haven't got one.
Or maybe someone has
a funny story, but any questions? Yeah.
What do you think about picking guns and electric picks?
How do they work very fast.
Pick guns. How do pick guns work, and what do you think of them?
Electro-picks, how do they work? I don't know if you're familiar with the game where you have a number of metal balls hanging, and you pick one ball and release it, and the only ball that will actually move at that time is the ball and the other end. That's basically the principle of a pick gun and electro pick as well. What you try to do is hit all the pins inside the lock at the same time in such a way that the upper pins are ejected into the base.
Open.
Ah, cool.
Okay, to interrupt your story.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. When you open a high security lock like this, the first time I bought a lock and actually opened it, I was really happy that it worked. And I moved it to a 45-degree angle, and I was surprised that all the pins just came out, and I was like, what the hell is this? But it's open. So if you pick a lock like this, take a key, take half of it, and put it in, and then you can safely turn it. But if you don't do this, you're in big trouble because you will ruin the lock. And there's a difference between this lock, which has an open gate, as I shall call it, and this older model that is closed. And with the closed one, you don't need to put a half key in there. But with the open ones, make sure that you have a half key around to open it, because you will get in big trouble. Back to the big guns.
Okay,
sorry.
Back to the big guns. So what you try to do is, a pick gun has a needle. You put it inside the lock, and then put enough energy on it so that the lower parts or the lower pins will stay at that position, and you only eject the upper pins. And if you do that and follow that motion with just a little delay with your tensioner, then you can open a lock. And it's fairly easy to do once you know the technique. It's a special technique. With an electro pick, things are even easier, because that thing will vibrate in such a high frequency. It's even easier to pick a lock using such a tool. But then again, this is more fun, because this is really solving a puzzle, while the other is using a technique to open a lock.
What about wafer locks? Do you have any on there you can show us?
I don't know if we have any, but the technique is similar.
And it's much easier to open a wafer lock.
A wafer. A wafer lock doesn't have any pins, but metal plates that you have to move in a special order. And the tool to use in a wafer lock is, oops, where am I? Something like this. Either this or a tool called the 8, which has two of those round shapes on top. That's a tool to use on a wafer lock. And they're fairly easy to open.
Is that W-A-F-F-L-E or
Wafer.
Wafer.
W-A-F-E-R?
Yes.
Okay.
Wafer lock is what you would find on an office floor.
Yeah. You will find these most of the time on cabinets and perhaps even office doors. In the back. Reverse picking?
Reverse picking. You lift all the pins above the line, let them drop down, pick them on the way down.
Well, I know something called, it's actually designed by, okay. The question was reverse picking, first pushing all the pins down and then letting the tension go and hoping that one by one they will drop back. That's difficult, and I tried it, but it didn't work for me. What I did here was about an Israeli invention to open almost any normal lock. Wow, this guy's asleep over there. That's interesting here at the first row with the. Okay, it's not such an interesting, not such an interesting class then. No, I'm sorry.
No.
Wat moeten we? Oké. Okay, Israeli invention, put in a blank in the lock, and so pushing all the pins up to the highest level possible, and then putting liquid oxygen in it. Is that right?
Oxygen.
No, it's not liquid oxygen. It's more cold. The coldest stuff. Liquid nitrogen. It will freeze the lock. All the pins will stay in place. The springs won't work anymore because they're so cold that there's no pressure on it, and everything will just be as it is. Then what they do is they stick in a hot needle, and the top pins will heat up, or the bottom pins will heat up first, and by gravity fall down, and the lock will turn. And in Europe, all the locks are upside down, so the trick doesn't work. But if a lock is mounted like this, that is a fairly easy and effective way to break and enter without doing any damage. And also about intelligent agencies, if you really are afraid that they will go into your house, and if you have a reason to believe that, just understand that there is no way of protecting your house against intelligence burglary teams that want to break into your house. That's not possible. Because if they can break into some embassy, you know, what's your house with the medical biaxial super lock going to help? It's not, because I heard of a technique that the Dutch Secret Service uses to get into houses, and they normally can open any lock. But if someone is really clever and gets a lock that's really good and they cannot pick it, they will make a copy of that lock. An outside-looking copy. So the pins inside, they of course don't know the combination and what the sizes are. But they will try to make a good as possible copy of that lock, and they will drill your lock out of your door, but leave the lower pins intact. So they just replace the lock for you, and they put your own inner cylinder back into your lock. And it still works, it's still high security, but they made a copy of your lock. And that's just forget about it. If you really have something to hide, there's no way to hide. And if you have anything sensitive, just keep it on you, because they will find it, if that's your concern.
Just open the window. They don't go for the locked door, they just open
Sure.
the window.
Okay, but some people are paranoid and have a steel door and everything. Anyway. Okay, well then maybe the last special lock. It's called the multi-lock. And multi-lock it has this devious looking key with all the holes in it. It works the same as the Lips Octro that I just opened, but a little different because it has hollow pins. So the pin inside this lock, and I also brought an open version of it, but of course this doesn't do any good. It has a hollow pin, and inside the pin is another pin. So that's pin in pin. And when you look at the key, you see that it's not only a hole, but it's a hole with either a smaller hole in there or a hole with either something sticking out, sticking the inner pin to a certain level. And that really is freaking people out. They say, wow, pin in pin. And so you have 5 pins with an inner pin, so that's 10 pins. All mounted in this small gap, but it's doable. You can open them with just a simple piece of metal like this. It's a smaller L-shaped thing than I just used. Let's see where the other one is. Okay, I got it. No, I got it. Here. And actually, they used to be together like this. But I cut them in two so they could fit into my Kgb Pick Set. So, let's see. Over here I got a lock. Yeah, I don't think that there's any nice visual effect, so I will just try to open it. Maybe some people have questions?
You mentioned most of the locks there have 5 shafts, 5 pins
Right.
deep. Any of them have more than 5?
Yes, they are there.
How large do they make them in Europe?
Commercially?
Up to 10, I'd say, for one key. More questions?
Are any of those picks that you have homemade?
No.
Does intelligence service have special picks to speed up their pickings? They can't wait 2 or 3 minutes, man, to get in less than a minute.
They use pick guns.
Yeah.
They use what?
Pick guns. You have high-speed electronic pick guns with. It's really something. It works. And also commercial companies that open doors for people sometimes use that. Yeah, over there.
How much are they? A medical lock?
Well, since I'm not from the US, I have very little experience with Medeco. I have heard rumors of a pick set available for Medeco, so you can pick the lock. But I know for sure that there's something called a decoder, and it's a feeling device that goes into the lock and actually measures the pins, and then it will tell you what pins are in the lock, and you can program that into a computerized key cutter, and it will make you the key. But that set is only available for intelligence agencies. So if you buy that with the normal burglar, you're not going to have any trouble.
Yeah.
Do you have any antique locks? Can you tell us something about locks from a long time ago?
Yeah, I could, but I think we're running out of time, and that also requires a special pick sets, and I don't have that with me, so it's a little bit difficult to explain something if you don't have the lock and the keys and the pick set. So
next time.
Well, because tell us, is the modern locks better than the old locks that we had 100 years ago?
Not
no,
really.
Not really.
No, that's why you still, when you buy a safe or when you go to the bank and you see their vaults, they still have the old, we call it beard locks. But
Well, they got a timer, so even though you know the combination, you can't do much.
well, stuff like that. Yeah.
Over there?
On the lock you're working on now, do the grooves or the tracks, I don't know if they're called on the key or the lock, that make it any harder to get to the door? That's the kind of lock that I have in my door, that's why I'm asking.
The multi-lock?
Yes.
Ah.
The exact one that you're running.
The exact one.
Okay. No, it doesn't make a difference for me. I can, no, not at all. It's not well designed for anti-picking. It looks like it's anti-picking, but it's fairly easy, I hope.
How difficult are car door locks compared to your average household door lock?
Easy as hell. No, I'm serious. I mean,
Depends on the car, I think.
But I mean, what good does a car lock do you when you can take a brick and throw in a window? Because that's what is going to happen anyway. And if you don't have a real expensive car like a Mercedes or a Porsche, your lock is probably worth 50 cents or something. They don't spend any money on locks in cars, and they're easy to open. All Wafer locks and fairly simple.